Number 170 is the Sikwa Kofi, which means golden stool, or it is the golden stool, by the Ashanti people who are from Ghana, 1700, and the materials are gold over wood and then cast gold attachments. Okay, so Sika Dwa Kofi translates to golden stool born on Friday. So you can either write or refer to this as Sika Dwa Kofi or just call it the golden stool. Both of those names work. All right, context about the Ashanti. So we don't need to write this part, but the Ashanti kingdom is founded in the late 1600s by Osei Tutu, the king. He unified all of the surrounding lands and he created the nation of the Ashanti people. And Ashanti, and spelled A-S-A-N-T-E, Asante, kind of just mean the exact same thing. All right, so how that relates to our golden stool, on the kingdom's founding, the golden stool falls from the sky into the lap of the king, and this is seen as a great miracle, and it happened on a Friday. Kofi means Friday. So that's where it got the name golden stool from, on Friday. And a lot of people kind of laugh about this, and we talk about it in class and think this is a really silly idea or a silly thing to believe that this gold covered stool fell from the heavens, but to these people this is seen as a miracle, and it's a really sacred and special object. And if you think about religions that we are familiar with, we also have this concept or ideas of miracles that could seem just as ridiculous to other people. So keep in mind, to be respectful of what other people believe. Also, if you look at this map, Burkina Faso is right above Ghana, right below Mali. Mali is where the Mosque of Jané is, and our golden stool is from Ghana, but Burkina Faso is where Marcantonio's adopted their son from, if you know the Marcantonio family. All right, so function of the stool, it contains the soul of the unified Ashanti people. And we always want to think about other artworks that we've talked about. So what other artwork talked about a unified kingdom? Boom, the palette of King Narmer. So this talks about the unification of Lower and Upper Egypt coming together. And then this piece, the stool, endows the king with the right and the power to rule. So what other artworks have we talked about that is talking about having a divine right to rule, or by giving someone the power to rule? I thought of these two, the Law Code of Hammurabi. He has the god Shamash, giving him the divine right to rule. And then Augustus of Prima Porta. Sorry, my brain stopped working. And then by having Cupid down by his leg, he's talking about how he is related to the gods. So he has this royal lineage, which is giving him this right to rule. All right, so we obviously know the function of a stool, right? And our piece is called a golden stool, but what is different between the two? So our golden stool is not the same function of an actual stool. So get that idea of a common stool out of your mind. So this is never actually used to sit on. It's never touching the ground. It's only taken out and then seen on special occasions. And sometimes replicas would be used in ceremonies to keep this golden stool safe. And then when that happens, replicas are usually different from each other. Overall, the stool is more important than the king, even so that the stool is given a stool. All right, if you look at this contextual photograph, so the College Board gives you photos of the art piece we need to be able to recognize and this contextual photograph. So what you're seeing here is the king. He's wearing kente cloth. Next to him is a chair, and then there's the stool, and then he has, people all around him. But what is kind of an overarching color that you're seeing being repeated? Gold, right? We're seeing lots of gold. So the Ashanti region is rich in gold, and then gold comes to symbolize royalty. It's used in materials and as a color in fibers and textiles. So it's used in the kente cloth, and then it's also repeated, right? Everybody has hints of gold all over them. Even the king's, is that part of his sandals, ankle bracelets? It's pretty cool, whatever it is. All right, so this is from the College Board. They said the choice of a gold leaf covering for the golden stool of the Ashanti people was probably motivated by veneration. That means respect of the stool as a sacred object. The stool is seen as an object that was provided by the heavens, right? That's where it fell down from, and that houses the soul of the Ashanti people. As such, it must be treated with the utmost respect, and this includes covering all of its surfaces with gold leaf. All right, overall form, the size about 24 by 18. You don't need to know it, but if you're interested, it is carved from a single piece of hardwood and then covered with gold and then has gold attachments. So it is not solid gold. It has brass bells. You can see one on either side. Brass bells hang from the side to warn the king of danger. And then it has these like 4 golden sculptures, right? So those are 4 gold enemies, the defeated enemies of the Ashanti people. All right, so it's also, we can relate this to the contemporary art piece Old Man's Cloth by El Anatsui. That artist works in Nigeria, but he's actually born in Ghana. So he was raised with these same ideas that this piece encompasses. So the Ashanti controlled the gold trade, and Ghana was referred to as the Gold Coast. That name was given to them by the British, by the way. Look how the stool is laying. So this round part, this is the bottom of the stool, and then this is what we would think that would be sat on. This is like the top of the stool. So the stool is actually lying on its side, and that's intentional. So the Ashanti people believe that one's energy, their life force, so their soul, is absorbed over time by your stool. Therefore, when you get up, so when they would be sitting in stools and chairs, when they get up, they turn their stools onto their side so no one else absorbs their energy. And you can relate that back to El Anatsui's piece, Old Man's Cloth. When we talked about that piece, there is this Ashanti belief of sunsum. This is an energy that gets translated to objects that people handle often. So remember, he's using the tops of liquor bottle tops, and he talks about the energy being absorbed from people and how that lives on into his art piece. And again, that relates back to this Ashanti belief. All right, we're going to go to the Khan Academy video to hear them talk about the War of the Golden Stool.
Another important part of the history of the Ashanti people, the continuing involvement of the British. The British, certainly since the early 19th century, were interested in securing a way to control gold in this area. And they named this area the Gold Coast. The Ashanti obviously were not wanting to give up their control of this precious material, which had this royal significance. And in 1874, the British destroyed the Ashanti capital, took lots back to England. Much of it remains in the British Museum collection today. And one of the objects, of course, that they really wanted to get their hands on was the golden stool. They first exiled Prempeh I, that was the Ashanti in the late 1800s. The Ashanti people hid the golden stool. The golden stool, which was obviously very important, in fact, more sacred than Prempeh I himself, was in danger, and the British really tried hard to hunt it down. The British governor said, and I'm reading here from a record of what happened. He said, "Where is the golden stool? I am the representative of the paramount power. Why have you relegated me to this ordinary chair? Why did you not take the opportunity of my coming to bring the golden stool for me to sit upon?" This was so offensive to the people of Ghana that a foreigner would come and demand their most precious and sacred object to sit on. This is not a stool anyone was allowed to sit on. In fact, it sat on its own stool. So Ya Asantewa, a queen mother, assembled all the soldiers she could find to fight against the British. Now, the Ashanti people were defeated, but the stool remained hidden. The Ashanti were pretty successful in that they were allowed some autonomy, and by the 1920s, the British even agreed to allow Prempeh I to return, and there was a promise made that the golden stool would not be taken, and the golden stool was allowed to come out of hiding. Men and women are gifted stools by their parents when they come of age, and the idea of stools is really central, not just to kingship, but to everyday people. And this brass weight.
All right, so to summarize the War of the Golden Stool in our notes, we can say Ghana is in charge of the gold trade, and then the British, of course, want to control that trade. So a British representative tries to sit on the stool, which caused, or he was upset that I guess he didn't get to sit on the stool, and caused an uproar and a rebellion, and the war ended in British invasion. Even now, the stool is kept in a secret location and only rarely brought out. And this is to keep it safe. So I think it's really easy to make comparisons between these two artworks from Africa based on the effect of colonialism and what that did to these artworks. The idea that both of them are using special materials that are rare or that are expensive or that reflect power. Both different types of metals are used. You have gold, overlaying the wood, and then you have brass for the Benin plaque.